Thanks for joining us for Curtains Up on Clemson Little Theatre. I'm Erica Stasiak, and I am on the board of directors at CLT. Back in October, one of our youth, Sara Orr, came to the board asking if we would allow her to put on a musical that she had written. She wanted to perform it for one night only and donate all of the proceeds to NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. This Friday, June 19th, was supposed to be Sara's premiere of The Picture of Dorian Gray, the musical. However, obviously due to COVID, we can't be open, so we can't put a show on. So tonight we hope that you guys will enjoy a shortened version of The Picture of Dorian Gray. We also hope that you would consider donating to Clemson Little Theatre. While theaters have to remain closed, our expenses remain intact, and so any little bit would definitely help. And while we appreciate all donations, we also recognize that Sara wasn't able to raise proceeds for her organization either. So tonight, any money that we raise through the Curtains Up fundraiser will be split evenly with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We hope that you enjoy the show. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Sara Orr, and I am the creator and director of Dorian Gray. Thank you so much for coming to this live stream. I am so incredibly thankful to have this platform to share the content of our show, since unfortunately we weren't able to perform it due to COVID-19. We will be giving you a plot overview and sharing some of the songs and a monologue from the show. Before we jump into everything, I would like to thank a few people. So first of all, I'd like to thank the CLT board for giving me the opportunity to use their space. CLT has always been such a supportive community for me, and I have grown so much as an artist just by being a part of shows there. I'd like to thank Thomas K. Wood, who has helped me throughout the writing process and also is the one who helped edit this live stream. So I'd like to thank Jay Briggs, who created the graphics for our show and also was going to be our costume designer. All of these people have helped me immensely, and the show would not be what it is without them. I read the novel The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde about a year ago. I was inspired by this work and began considering how I could translate it to the stage. I decided to set the storyline in the Roaring 20s. Combining the elements of Gothic literature with the aesthetic of a Prohibition-style jazz club resulted in a Great Gatsby-style show. The plot follows a young painter and an ambitious bar manager, Basil and Henley. Henley runs the Green Mill, a prominent jazz club in Chicago where Basil is employed. While the two are going over business matters at Basil's home, they discuss the painting that Basil is currently working on. It is of a young man who he has recently met named Dorian Gray. Basil is infatuated with him, and Henley knows of him through her sister Agatha. They are interrupted by the arrival of Dorian. Henley steals Dorian away to talk with him, and Basil has an aside to the audience as he finishes the painting. Now as I see the light through this canvas in my hand, I forget all my strife as I see my soul expand. Just like the stars you gleam, and I step into your light. I have no need of dreams, 'cause you are my night. 'Cause you are my During Henley's conversation with Dorian, she discusses the matter of physical appearance and its significance. This theme ties into our concept of the Roaring Twenties because of how appearance-focused society was during that time, as well as the dissonance between appearances and practices of speakeasies.
You are young and youthful, so don't spoil it. Beauty is the only thing worth having in this day. The truth of the world lies in the visible, not the invisible. The gods have granted you the gift of beauty, something that can be easily taken away. The day is fast approaching for when it will begin to fade. Once it's gone, you will be left with little. Time is cruel to beautiful people. I beg you to take advantage of your youth while you still have it. Listen to me, Dorian. The morality of the situation may be gray, but the best way to get rid of temptation is to yield to it. Resist it, and your soul grows sick for the longing of the things it forbids itself. As your friend, I feel obligated to tell you this. It would be a shame to see your life wasted.
While considering these ideas, Dorian sees the finished painting. He becomes jealous. Due to Henley's influence, he realizes the unchanging beauty in the painting. He fears aging, and he wishes that he could possess the gift of eternal youth. Later that evening, Dorian, Henley, and Basil meet at the Green Mill. Sybil Vane is the singer that night. The character of Henley in the book is actually Lord Henry. I thought it would be interesting to gender swap the character to explore the different forms of femininity that were manifesting in the 1920s. Henley's character contrasts with Sybil Vane's due to their different ideas about being women.
Dream of which I've now become aware. It is in fact more dire than it seems. I long for love far greater than I can bear. I glimpse the unreal face beaming at me. I hear his voice ring throughout the air. But as the echo dies, the feeling flees. I long for love far greater than I can bear. I realize that my dream will never be. And yet somehow I feel that I must share. I am too broken and you will now agree. I long for love far greater than I can bear. I long for love far greater than I can
Dorian falls for Sybil during this performance. The following week, it is revealed that they are engaged. Sybil's brother James is initially skeptical, as is Basil, while Henley expresses amusement at the situation. She says that Dorian has fallen in love with Sybil's talent and not her true self. She predicts the relationship will only last for another week before Dorian loses interest. Meanwhile, Dorian and Sybil hang out in the vacant Green Mill after hours. They discuss their future, and Dorian sings to her.
Every word you say makes my heart skip a beat. The burning in my soul still the sounds. Because of you, I finally feel complete.
later, Dorian, Henley, and Basil return to the Green Mill to see Sybil perform again. However, this performance is horrible. She seems very distracted the entire time. After the performance, Sybil tries to explain to Dorian how she plans on quitting her job and focus on their marriage and starting a family. Dorian gets angry at this idea, proving Henley's theory that he was only in love with her performance. Dorian calls off the engagement and leaves Sybil in her dressing room alone. The next morning, Dorian notices a change in the painting. Before he has time to examine it, Henley arrives. She brings him news of Sybil's suicide. Dorian is overtaken by guilt, but Henley assures him that there is no reason to feel responsible for someone else's actions. Then Dorian shows Henley the change in the portrait and confesses to making a wish that he could never age. Henley scoffs at this idea of a human selling their soul to an inanimate object, and Henley leaves. Over the next few days, Dorian reflects on this newfound tie to the painting and finds himself losing any care he used to have about being virtuous. It is now 1932 in the middle of the Great Depression. The Green Mill has been struggling financially along with all of the employees. Basil plans on moving to New York in hopes of making more money there. It is revealed that James Vane is still vengeful of his sister's death because he blames Dorian for causing it. Agatha, Henley's sister, comes to live with Henley after her tour of Europe. She is a wealthy philanthropist with an eye for public recognition. Her arrival in Chicago is greatly celebrated and publicized.
Oh, I'm sick and tired of all this news. Now that I'm back, let's just change the topic. Instead of sitting round crying blues, let's be a little more philanthropic. I know that you have missed me, boys. Well, without me, Chicago's an atrocity. You know the world will be making so much noise if it weren't for my generosity.
Henley and Agatha discuss the rumors of Dorian's involvement with Sybil Vane before her suicide. Some believe that Dorian actually killed her, but Henley firmly believes that Dorian is incapable of murder. A few days later, Basil arrives at Dorian's house. After years of not seeing each other, Dorian is taken aback. Basil reveals to Dorian his plans of moving to New York and has come to say goodbye. He expresses his want to see the portrait one last time before he leaves, since it was one of his favorite works. Dorian becomes anxious, knowing that Basil cannot see the painting because of its current deformation. Basil grows confused and defensive, not understanding why he cannot see the painting. Seeing no other way out of it, Dorian shows the painting to Basil. He is horrified at what the creation has become, and in a fit of rage, Dorian kills Basil.
The seconds grow longer and the minutes get shorter. Here I sit with you as I try to make order. Nothing seems to get this thought out of my mind. And I'm sitting with the feeling I've been left behind. I don't know what I see and what I don't see. I don't know what could not be or could be. I don't know what to do about you. So I just sit and stare and waste my time and count the things I know are left behind. My mind keeps spinning and my heart beats faster as I do what I can to evade disaster. Your words keep piercing right into my mind, and soon you and I will be left behind. I don't know what I see and what I don't see. I don't know what cannot be or could be. I don't know what to do about you, so I just sit sit and stare and waste my time and count the things I know are left behind. Your face grows confused as you see I've made my choice. Your hands start to shake and you tremble at my voice.
Agatha orchestrates a dinner and invites Dorian and James Vane. She feels it is her moral responsibility to help him find Dorian in order to give him closure. Meanwhile, Dorian is grieving Basil's death. He knows that he has let himself go too far and decides that he is having a change of heart. However, he doesn't feel that it is necessary to cut ties with the painting because it has done nothing but good. Time for Agatha's dinner comes and the guests arrive. James realizes Dorian's identity and violently threatens him at the dinner table with a gun. A fight ensues, resulting in James's death. Six months later, Dorian is sitting in his home listening to the radio when an announcement on James Vane's death comes on. It is clear that Dorian has done very little over the past half year, which has allowed him to obsess over the portrait and his past decisions. Henley arrives unexpectedly. She questions Dorian about Basil's whereabouts, saying that he never arrived in New York. Dorian confesses to killing Basil and tells her about his ties to the painting. Dorian asks for advice, but Henley says it sounds like he is too far past help. Dorian grows angry and blames Henley for corrupting him, saying that she planted all of the immoral ideas in his head. He kicks her out of his house. Dorian breaks down, but brings himself to confront the painting. He stabs the painting, which in turn kills him.
Hello, how are you?
Hi. Good, how are you?
Good. Okay, so how about you introduce yourself, like your name, where you're from, what school you went to, all that stuff.
Okay, I'm Ruben Fitzer. I've lived my whole life in Greenville, South Carolina, and I am about to graduate from Greenville Tech Charter High School. We did Little Shop of Horrors, the musical, and I got part of Seymour, and that was, that was like the most fun I had ever in high school, was doing that whole show the whole year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about your character specifically and how Basil has an effect on the plot and all that stuff.
So Basil is a painter, and at the very beginning of the show, he is obsessed and in love with the main character, Dorian Gray, and he paints a painting of Dorian, and the painting ends up getting cursed, and Dorian has it, and that kind of moves a lot of the plot forward, where it kind of shows Dorian kind of goes has a descent into madness because of the painting, and later on Basil has a confrontation with Dorian about rumors that he's heard about him, and we kind of get a better glimpse at the end there of Dorian's mental state, and they have a whole confrontation, and that's exciting.
Yes, definitely. It still makes me so sad that we aren't able to actually do the show, because I was so ready to dive into that scene during Left Behind, during the confrontation. It was going to be so exciting and so fun to play with the different levels that eventually escalate towards the end, because obviously your character gets killed, which is horrible, but it's a very interesting thing to think about, and how basically Basil gets killed because, not directly because, but as an effect of something that he created for someone he loved.
Also, the very end with Dorian in the painting is just like super exciting and thought-provoking,
Yes.
and interesting, catch you off guard, and I think that's a really cool ending to the show.
I remember thinking the question that someone asked, not really sure, maybe it was Jade. She's and for everyone who doesn't know, she's our lovely like costume designer. She was doing all that. But it was like the idea of, when Dorian stabs the painting, does Dorian know what he's doing? Does Dorian know that stabbing the painting in turn would kill him, or does Dorian just think that it would destroy the painting and things would go back to normal? So I thought that was interesting. I remember this is why I wanted to do this with you, because you were always very insightful about the show. And so, yeah, I'm really glad that we got to have this conversation. Well, it has been wonderful to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming on here. Sadly, we can't do this in person because of all the stuff going on in the world, but yeah, it was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
Cool. Okay. Bye.
From the very beginning, I knew that I wanted the show to be a fundraiser, and mental health and mental illness has always been a very important topic to me. So National Alliance of Mental Illness has been doing so much, not only in the upstate, but around the country. And they work tirelessly to break the taboo surrounding mental illness and also aid people in getting the help that they need. So if you're able to donate, that would be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the live stream showcase of Dorian Gray.